Hey everybody, what's going on? George, the Disney Italiano, coming to you from Trader Sam's at the Disneyland Resort. Actually at the Disneyland Hotel, the one and only. And we got a kind of a nice backdrop behind us a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see partial of the hotel, but I got my bro OG with me. I got my girl Abby here, and we're here for another bar chat because that's what we like to do. We usually had them at Universal lately, but now we're back at Disneyland, and yeah, so let's get to it.
Yeah, let's dive in. So today it was announced that was it the park in Paris?
Yeah,
Was
Adventure World.
Adventure World or World Adventure, whatever they call it now over there, the second gate. That they're getting a up attraction. Okay, now we want to speculate on this, on what it might mean for Anaheim. Here is the attraction. As you can see, it looks very similar to that of the Silly Symphony swings, right, over there at DCA. My speculation, and this is total speculation, but I thought it's worth mentioning to the audience or whatever. I find it kind of weird that Disney would spend the money to sort of rebuild one of these off-the-shelf kind of flat rides. I feel like this is probably the Silly Symphony swings at DCA. And if you look at this, if you look at the placement of the Silly Symphony swings at DCA, where is it? It's right there, right when you enter Pixar Pier, right across the way from the Garden Grill, right?
Yeah.
But it's also right where that bridge would go. Like that's where you would enter the bridge to get to the symbol lot.
Correct.
So is it coincidental? And it might be. It might be coincidental. We're just speculating. But is it coincidental that right there in that spot where the Coco Dark ride is rumored to be nearby and the bridge for the symbol lot would likely go in and around that area? Is it a coincidence that we're seeing art for this attraction for the Paris park?
Well, I think we always said on the show many times, there's never a coincidence with Disney.
No.
There's always a purpose for something, anytime, anywhere. And I think they also showed a piece of concept art that was part of the map of what Adventure World would end up looking like.
Right.
And the up swings are going to be part kind of like a sort of like a Paris version of the pier. It's going to have like these kind of like pier side the aesthetics of it. And what's funny is that was not part of the initial concept art when they announced the Lion King attraction back in August at D23.
Right.
So why wouldn't they make that announcement then? It's something so simple. So that tells me this was a last minute change to the Paris park, but can also mean a significant change for the decision of where things are going at DCA, because that just doesn't answer the question for Coco, but that might also mean the answer for Pandora.
Right, exactly. Because we've been talking a lot about it on my channel, OG55, right? Where we've been talking about like Disney doesn't really know where these things are going yet, and maybe they finally figured it out. And that's why you're seeing movement here with the Silly Symphony swings being potentially moved over to Paris. Now they figured out where Coco's going or where Avatar is going, and they have to remove some of the stuff over at DCA. And they figure, hey, you know what? While we're taking this stuff out, repurpose it. I mean, and Abby, you brought it up earlier, when we're, off camera, obviously, but like they did that with Flix Flyers when they removed Bugs Land from DCA. They repurposed it into the Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind, right? So Disney does this, with these flat rides, and it wouldn't surprise me. I just find it weird that that Disney would spend the money to create another spinner like this. I find it highly unlikely.
The only way that they would, and if just to say Silly Symphony Swing stays, then that kind of solidifies to me that they possibly may retheme Silly Symphony Swings over at DCA to a replica of Up that's going over to Paris. So it kind of ties into the Pixar Pier area. Right. And who said that? Oh, wait a minute. That would be me.
Yeah.
But to your point, if they were to relocate the actual attraction itself, I've seen them remove that whole entire structure for refurbishment.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard for them to basically dissect that area.
Yeah, exactly. And now, one of the things that kind of upsets me though with this whole situation is Up is a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Nominated for Best Picture, you know what I'm saying? A great movie. And I just feel, and along with Inside Out, these franchises deserve way more.
Yes.
And what they're getting.
Exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Elaborate on that.
Like, I love Inside Out's my favorite. And then, of course, I love Up as well. We're going to try to incorporate it in our wedding. But to just get a couple spinner rides, I think that it's not worth. They deserve more. Like a nice dark ride, or something like that.
Or something immersive.
Yeah.
You know, give us something like, I mean, I could think off the top of my head a great ride for Up. I actually thought of that back when the movie first premiered in theaters in 2009. I could discuss that right now, but it's a long logistic thing. I will talk about it one of these times because it's basically a two-parter kind of ride that you can get two different experiences but with the same attraction.
Right.
And again, I thought of that. And I'm just a nerd.
Hey, but you're a nerd with some special access.
Yeah,
That is true.
That's the difference, George. That's the difference. Yeah,
That is
but
true.
but these movies deserve more. But yeah, it just feels like a recycling move to me.
Yeah.
You know, when I saw this, I'm like, that looks exactly like the Silly Symphonies thing. Are they really gonna? Is Disney really gonna spend the money to build another one?
I know. Is it that,
Yeah.
You
is it
know-
that popular of a ride that they will spend the money to build another one? I highly doubt it.
One, especially because Disneyland Paris is now run by the Walt Disney Company.
Right.
Mhm.
So, like, if it was something like of Tokyo,
Yeah.
you know, that obviously Tokyo wouldn't even do a spinner swing ride. But I could definitely see Disney relocating for Paris for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. So we'll see. You know, see what happens. But it's exciting. It kind of does, if true, it kind of does point in the direction of like Disney's finally figuring out where things are going at DCA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Which
is
is
true.
encouraging.
Good
Yeah.
because they said that it's supposed to start construction in 2026, and hopefully we get some kind of announcements on July when it's the actual 70th kickoff. Like they said, they were gonna showcase some things there in the building for like future
Or-
projects.
Yeah, or Destination D23. I feel like if they don't make an announcement of something, at least Coco.
Right.
I can understand. I mean, I would still like to know where Pandora's
Yeah.
going, but I think they can hold off with Pandora because I think based off of the timeline that we predicted, they could start construction for Pandora in 2027 and be ready for the back end of the 5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's also alarming too, if they don't start something soon, and forgive me, folks, I don't want to make this political, but sometimes you have to in these cases. With the tariff situation that's going on right now, could that delay construction?
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do something, you're going to want to do it right. But if they can't get the proper materials,
Yeah.
steel, wood, what have you, it's like fiberglass, whatever they're going to use. Like, how can that impact in a way? So if you don't really hear anything, that may not be a good thing because they may be waiting to see what's going to go on there. And we've talked about it many times before on Orange Grove 55. Unfortunately, I like Josh. OG likes Josh as a person. But his track record as Parks chairman, I feel like he could be waiting for something like this just to pull back to cut costs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't feel my issue with Josh, and again, as a person, he seems like a great guy. I'd love to have a beer with you, Josh. Absolutely. But my issue with Josh is that I don't feel like he really cared about investment in the parks until he was a serious contender for CEO.
Yeah.
And so once he got serious with that, then he was like, oh yeah, I got to really, impress the board. but now he's got an excuse. Now he's got an excuse to not invest. Oh, the tariffs. Oh, I don't know. We might have to delay this, that, and the other. It worries me. And Josh, if you're watching, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am. And if I am wrong, yes, please be. I hope I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, like we were at D23, we will eat crow. I have no problem with that. Like,
I don't either.
He delivered at D23, and we gave him his credit for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're like putting our, digging our heels in. Like, if he delivers, I'm happy. I want that, But I'm just scared that he's going to act like his division, Josh's division, is going to look for excuses as to why we have to delay, postpone, and cancel. I'm worried about it. I would be lying if I said I wasn't.
Yeah, I am too. I really am. What's your say?
What's my say?
What's your say?
I say we get some announcements soon.
You're like, just give us the announcements.
Give me the announcement.
Yeah. Now, kind of going back a little bit to Disneyland Paris, also that was announced today, so to speak, was the concept art for a couple things. More for the Lion King.
Thank you very much.
More for the Lion King attraction. They got some concept art where it's showing, I guess, like the Hakuna Matata sequence, which looks really colorful, looks really cute.
Yeah.
I'm for sure there'll be audio animatronics. I'm glad that Disney's going the route for the animated, not the live action. I know a lot of people had issues when they showed us the piece of concept art and it looked like the live action version. Right. But I'm glad Disney clarified that it wasn't. And then also the Disney, I guess it's called World Premiere, which is going to be basically like the Buena Vista Street, Carthay Circle kind of entranceway that's going to replace for Adventure World or World Adventure, whatever it's called. It's one of the two.
I don't know. I still don't like that name. It's very generic to me.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean, the name is generic, but actually the improvements are so good. I mean, Arendelle, all that stuff. I mean, they're doing a lot of great stuff with that second gate. It's that name.
Yeah.
I still say the Wonderful Worlds of Disney would have been perfect.
Yeah.
You celebrate all the studios of the Walt Disney Company. Something like that, and it pays homage to the old, TV show, the World of Disney,
or at least do it even for DCA,
or do it for DCA, yeah,
Hollywood Studios, something,
yeah. It just comes off. I don't know. Adventure World just seems like,
like Islands of Adventure, like adventure is like very widespread.
Yeah.
Like you could
Very
that
broad.
could be. It's universal. You can kind of do that with anything. So it's like, well, what specifically makes it this? Or,
right. No, 100%, dude. Yeah. So we'll see, man. I mean, it's very, very interesting. I do think there is a DCA tie to this.
Yeah.
With that Silly Symphonies ride system, but we'll see how it all shakes out. And also another thing too that I want to bring up is I think that it's encouraging to me that so far we haven't seen, because to be fair to Josh, right? We're hearing a lot of we're worried about the tariffs and all that stuff, right? And the budget cuts but we haven't really. I mean, aside from Bob Iger's comment that they might pull back on the cruises, we haven't really seen or heard much pullback on the park side.
Yeah.
But it's a positive thing, to give
That's
Josh
true.
a little bit of credit. We've been getting announcements like today. We got the announcements for the Paris stuff. So
True.
It seems like they're still bullish as of right now. At least we haven't seen any evidence that they're not yet.
I think Iger kind of made that comment just to kind of, forgive me, folks, covering their own ass, so to speak. Because just in case if anything were to go down, he already made the statement prior that will kind of shield them from anything. But I think you're right. I think moving forward, even with the cruise line, I think they have every intention on doing as much as they can that they had promised us from D23. And I, as of right now, yeah, you're right. Nothing else has been said otherwise. So that is a good sign. And now that Destination D23 is coming up, obviously people are going to be spending their money buying tickets this upcoming Monday. Tickets go on sale. People are going to be traveling, so they're not going to make any significant announcements to then
that
just
will
say,
hinder their people going to the events.
and then just to say, oh yeah, we said it, but guess what? We're not doing it anymore. So So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Um, Another thing I wanted to discuss, it actually happened last night. After the fact that Abby and I went to Star Wars night. Well, I have to say a couple things. We've done Sweethearts Night, 90s Night, and Star Wars Night. Star Wars Night, I have to say, out of the three, was the best.
Yeah, I enjoyed it the best.
And I think one of the main reasons was it wasn't crowded.
Yeah.
It wasn't overpacked. They didn't oversell the tickets. But that's a little bit of a detriment to Disney because they can't get people to buy the tickets. And I feel like they've done that event so many times for multiple years moving forward, and I think people are just kind of burned out of the same thing, especially like you had mentioned, OG, earlier. Like, Star Wars has a specific demographic.
Yeah, I feel like to kind of clarify that, like I feel like Star Wars is its own fandom. It is, right? But I don't think there's a lot of crossover between the Star Wars fandom and the Disney Parks fandom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like how many parks fans, Disney park fans, like we know, watches, Star Wars Explained. Now,
Right.
I'm a fan. I love Star Wars and I love Disney parks, but like most Disney parks fans are not Star Wars.
They won't go into the lore.
They're not into the lore. They're not into that nerdy Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
How many Star Wars fans really watched, Collider Jedi Council back in the day? Probably not a whole lot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of crossover there. I don't think the parks fans are really on board. Star Wars is very much its own thing.
Yeah.
With its own fandom, which is fine. There's no issue with that. But it is a very much of a different kind of thing. A different fandom, a whole other beast,
Yeah. So a good friend of ours actually told us that Disney is trying to basically almost like give away the tickets to cast members because there's so many open slots that the only day that ever really booked out of the event was May 4th. Which
And
is,
may the 4th be with you.
Exactly. But other than that, I mean, even the opening day of it wasn't sold out.
No.
So what I find interesting was Abby got an email yesterday of a survey based on our experience with Star Wars Night.
Yes.
Now, to my knowledge, I'm not 100% sure, folks, but I don't recall getting an email for Sweethearts Night and 90s Night. Not saying that they didn't, but I don't recall getting one. But Abby got one for Star Wars Night. And some of the things on there was very interesting as to why they may be thinking of replacing Star Wars Night with something else or adding something even for the 75th anniversary of Disneyland.
Yeah.
If you wanted to touch upon that.
Yeah, go ahead, Abby.
Yeah, so the first part of the survey was pretty like straightforward. It was just basically about the night itself, what I did, what I enjoyed, and everything based on the Star Wars night we attended. Then it gave me this whole prompt that the next set of questions were just generalized questions. One being, how interested are you in going to an event based off of, it said, like the different decades, year-based events, Disney history events. And then there was another question that said, how big of a fan are you on about Star Wars? You have to rate 1 to 5. Pixar, the Disney company itself, the Disney animation, and then Marvel.
And the Muppets.
So
Muppets night. Let's go. Come on, Muppet night.
So I had to rate the fandom on like how big of a fan I am for those things, and then for like the Disney history and then the decades, how interested would I be in going to an event based off of this. So I just found it interesting because I remember getting another like just generic Disney survey based off of my experience at the park, but this was the first one that like also asked me about future things.
Right.
What's your thought on that? Especially because we were very bullish on that, like talking about 90s Night and how they could have incorporated Michael Eisner and everything. But what's your thought on like just having an event based off of the Walt Disney Company as a whole, Disney animation, Disney history? I think that would be a smart route to go, especially going into the 75th anniversary.
Oh, it's a very smart move. nostalgia. I've said this with Universal. Universal right now is really smart. They're tapping into their nostalgia, right? We got word recently that they're going to do a Back to the Future. Well, very solid speculation. They're going to do a Back to the Future area for the Universal UK park. They're tapping into their monsters with Dark Universe. Nostalgia sells. So if Disney could tap into the multiple decades of Disney history with these after hours events, I think it'd be great. That's what Disney does. That's people love that stuff, especially out here in California.
Yeah.
Like the locals eat that shit up, dude. They eat it up. So you can't go wrong with that. Now, and I think that's a much bigger sell for the locals here, for the Magic Key holders than Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like again, Star Wars is a dope franchise, but like, how many? I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of the Disneylanders are all in on the Star Wars stuff.
And they have so many dates for Star Wars this year. It's going from the second week of April until mid-May.
Yeah, spreading itself kind of thin. You know what I'm saying? So,
And not in a good way.
And then, to think about it, they're comparing it to Universal starting their Fan Fest nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FanFest. We're going at the end of this month. To FanFest, and I can't wait for that. I've been a Universal guy lately. I've been having so much fun at Universal.
But it's funny how the survey kind of like worded it, how they kind of are trying to tap into what Universal is doing, as you had mentioned with FanFest, by having multiple IPs, multiple experiences for one fan event.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, Universal, man, they be crushing it. I'm very curious how that fan night's going to go. And I bet you it's going to be balls to the wall.
And they just added, they said that they're going to have a meet and greet for Wicked.
Oh, yeah,
really?
they did.
FanFest.
Yeah, so they added Wicked to the roster for FanFest. I mean, you have to really think, Universal was pulling out all the stops right now. With Epic Universe in Orlando, the FanFest here in California, the new UK park, and the new kids park also going into Texas. I mean, they're maneuvering, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're pulling the levers, but they're pulling in the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's important, fellas. If you're gonna pull the lever, make sure you pull the right way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't make that mistake.
Yeah, exactly. No, but all joking aside, yeah, I'm very happy with what Universal's doing, and Disney. I feel like with the after hours events, like 90s night we went, you were very disappointed because of the Darkwing Duck situation and all that. It's just tough, man. Like, I feel like Disney has gotten a little bit lazy with that.
Yes.
Remember like what was it, like 2 years ago or something? How long ago was that first 90s night when they had the fireworks?
6 years.
That was 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
Dude, that was a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
But that was dope, dude. They had the fireworks,
Yes.
the Disney afternoon fireworks. What happened to all that?
And then a parade, right?
And the parade, and it was a full legit parade. It wasn't like a cavalcade. And I feel like Disney has been doing that with all the after hour events.
Yeah,
They start them off well. They had the fireworks, they had all of the extra things, and then they bring it back again and they dilute it. It's like 90s night light, Star Wars night light.
Yeah, because they removed what you say.
Oh, they didn't do the First Order March.
Oh, really?
They've always had that part of Star Wars night.
Thank you, Lowell. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean it's wild to me, and maybe they'll learn their lesson the hard way. When FanFest comes out and it blows people away,
I think they're already having an idea, and I think honestly, by not selling enough Star Wars night tickets, is showing.
Because
And I think that's why they released that survey.
FanFest tickets came out the same exact day Star Wars
You're
night
right, they
tickets
did.
because we were both on watch to start buying them.
And for the popularity and the demand for it, Universal ended up adding more nights to FanFest.
Right.
Disney's trying to sell more for Star Wars night.
Right, exactly. And if you need a book FanFest, Theme Park Wizard. He's your dude. That guy's been crushing it. He helped our friend Jay Shear out. He's helped, I think, you guys out too, right? Or no? Did you ever book the Wizard?
He attempted to try to help me with the Epic Universe Express Pass, but he couldn't get it because he had to be the initial one to book the trip. But he was willing and able to do so. So if you have anything planned, FanFest, Epic Universe, anything of Universal, Disney, cruise, go to Mr. Theme Park Wizard.
Yeah, he's your guy. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll see, man. We'll see. It's very interesting, you know?
Yeah.
I'm very curious how that fan fest is going to go.
And we'll be there. We will be there opening weekend. We'll see how it goes because they added a little bit more. They said for the Star Trek, there's going to be like a interactive walkthrough, and they're actually going to have real set pieces from the show. And then I think with One Piece, they're going to have like character meet and greets. I'm not really tapped into One Piece. I know our good friend Lucas Kim is for sure.
Yeah.
So shout out to Lucas.
Lucas Kim, let's go. Yeah,
But-
George is more of a side piece guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But so I'm very excited. I love how they're incorporating many different varieties of IP into this fan event. You know, I think that's very smart. And especially with Back to the Future, I don't know how many times we have to keep on saying it. They're bringing Back to the Future back in a big way.
Yeah. No, yeah, well, with the UK part, and that bodes well for Hollywood and Orlando.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to do it there, it's probably going to come to either Hollywood or Orlando.
Yeah.
And especially at Orlando, they're getting rid of the Rip Ride Rocket.
Right.
So that area, they have enough time to either do Fast and Furious, like how they're doing out here. They may do Back to the Future, like they did UK. Or they may go another route. They may do Beetlejuice or Ghostbusters and still add something new and exciting for Back to the Future. But yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Universal is definitely tapping into the nostalgia for sure.
Yeah. And there's one thing that George knows about is tapping.
And variety.
Exactly. See, Abbie knows. That was perfect, Abbie. That was perfect.
That was
That
great.
was great. Yeah. But we'll
Loves
see.
his Baskin Robbins.
There it is. Baskin Robbins.
31 flavors, baby, all the way.
There it is. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens, man. But so, like, overall, interesting stuff. Now, before we go, should we do you want to get into like this Disney wedding stuff?
Oh yes,
Because I think that was interesting, and a lot of people don't really do the Disney wedding thing, and now I think I know why.
yes. Okay,
Hey.
I'm gonna let you take over this, and you can set the table because we were kind of shocked by. And honestly disappointed in a sense of like what we were tackling when we received the email for the Disney wedding planning. But I'm going to move that over to you.
So we were planning to have a Disney wedding on property. So I knew that it was going to be expensive. Of course, it's a Disney wedding. I was like, okay, I can kind of guess what it would be. And then I was all excited. Got a little discouraged because they told me, like, one of our friends was trying to plan one and said we have to come up with different dates. So then I only have one date in mind. I'm keeping that date. That's gonna be my wedding date. So I was interested, even though it's in 3 years, interested in even putting a deposit down just so I can get the date. So we got more information on the Disney wedding, and once we saw the price, I wanted to flip out. So for the minimum,
Minimum.
just dinner and beverage per person is $210, and that is just your dinner, plate of food, and beverage
Per
It's not-
person.
per person.
Per person.
It doesn't include any hors d'oeuvres that you're going to serve. It doesn't include the cake. It doesn't include the venue.
Did she say cake?
I love me some cake too. So it doesn't include the venue, and it doesn't include the ceremony. That was $210 per person just to eat dinner.
And with the amount of people, because we have a big family, we have a big wedding party. And again, we knew Disney again was going to be expensive. You know, you get what you pay for, and Disney's always top notch. But you also have to be realistic. There's a difference between a dream and a fantasy. And trust me, I've been on both cruise ships. They're both very nice.
Yeah.
But just the food.
Just charge us your debit card and make a wish, George. That's all you gotta do. Make a wish. You've been on that cruise ship too.
Yes, I've been on. Yes, I've been on the Wish too, twice. But
Makes you wonder though, huh?
it's all in the magic.
There it is. Exactly.
Oh man, that statement right there was a real treasure.
Yeah, what? Real treasure.
But for me to say to put out $210 per person for just one plate of food, that would have cost us $84,000 just for the food. That's not counting any additional extras, whether we wanted character appearances, the cake, photography, videography, which, by the way, it also stated in the manual that we are not allowed to bring in any third-party add-ons unless Disney approves them.
Yeah, so you're not gonna get no DJ playing Squabble Up.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be Disney approved.
Yeah, and so basically, what we would be doing is signing a binding contract.
Like Ariel.
Yeah, exactly. Like Ariel. Sign your life. I mean your name on the line.
Yeah. And it's like, once you sign it and you put down the deposit, the deposit is non-refundable. Mm-hmm. And so it's basically, it's either you lose out on it or you kind of have to go with their rules, regulations, terms, and conditions. And Abbie and I just didn't want to go that route and not willing to pay $84,000 just for food. That wasn't counting anything else.
Yeah.
Because honestly, they would nickel and dime us probably like crazy. That's probably why you can't add in any third party. Why? Because Disney's not making any revenue on it. Yeah. But I guarantee you, if Disney were to do a little bit more subtle weddings between like $30,000 and $40,000, I guarantee you they would be getting more clients that way, because you can't book a Disney wedding or a Disney like catered event unless you have a minimum of $15,000. So that to us was just, it was upsetting, it was discouraging, it was a disappointment. But Abbie and I talked it over, and we decided that we're still going to have a Disney wedding, but it's not going to be actually at Disney. It's going to be a Disney-themed wedding. We're going to pick a different venue, a different location, and we're just going to deck it all out the way we want it. And honestly, we're having a hell of a good time planning it right now, because we're picking all the stuff out that we want, and we don't have to answer to anybody. What we say goes, and guess what? It really should be that way, because guess what? It's our wedding. It's our money that we're putting out. So why shouldn't it be? And honestly, it also saves enough money for us as well to do our honeymoon. We're planning on going to Italy and Greece. And I actually talked to Abbie last night. I ended up finding that the Disney Cruise Line, speaking of the cruise ships, that they do European cruises. But there's a 12-night Mediterranean cruise that goes to Greece, Italy, and Spain, again, for 12 nights. And as of right now, for 2 people, and that's all expenses like paid for the cruise itself, including food, is a little over $9,300. Right. And to me, I'm sorry, that's a steal. Yeah. Compared to the $84,000 that we would have had to put out just to feed our guests.
And God knows how much it is if Mickey wants to make an appearance.
Yeah.
Probably another $20,000, dude.
Yeah.
And honestly, I could understand. There's an article, and it's probably still out there, that a lot of people were bashing this wedding couple that they would not feed their guests because they wanted to have Mickey and Minnie. And in a way, I can kind of feel for them in a way, because, again, it's their wedding if they wanted to have Mickey and Minnie. But it's a shame that they had to pick and choose whether to have Mickey and Minnie have an appearance or to feed their guests. They should be able to do both.
100%.
And I could see why that they had to pick and choose. Because for $210 a plate,
yeah.
I mean, you can go to Walt Disney World and dine at Victoria and Albert's for a 10-course meal for 2 people for $700.
Yeah. No, it's wild. It's wild. What I think it all boils down to is I think George needs to get a couple more jobs, and I think just to pay for that Disney wedding. What are you thinking, bro?
I honestly, if I really wanted to do it, and here's the thing, I'm a spontaneous guy. I'm somewhat frugal with certain things, but then I'm also a baller in other ways. But I tell you what, $84,000 just for food. That's to live in California. That is like 1/4 cost of a house
Yeah.
that could be paid off. And you said it perfectly. when
Not
you
even
said-
that. I mean, in California, dude. Yeah, you're.
Yeah, you're probably looking at like what, like 500,000-600,000. But you.
But we still have California, West Coast.
Yes. West Coast to best coast. But you said it best when we were at dinner yesterday, and you said, "Yeah, we could pay for the one night of our wedding, but then what are we going to do
when we're married,
when we're actually
marriage?
Yeah,
after that.
we'll be in a financial deficit."
No, it's a smart move, bro. Like
Yeah.
you do the Disney wedding, you do the Disney themed wedding, you do your thing, your music, your decoration, your cake, and you leave it. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it worth it? Like, what? This is why I never hear anyone do the Disney fairy tale wedding,
Yeah.
and now I know
Now
why.
you should see
Yeah.
why.
Right, you have no control, and you're paying way more than you have to.
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
and again, if Disney, if you're listening, tone down the price levels, I guarantee you'd be making a lot more. And I'm saying that out of respect to try to help you, because again, we were left at the altar, so to speak, with those prices. And unfortunately, we can't say yes, we do.
Yeah, no, he's making a plea to you, Disney, because we don't want to lose our special access.
Yeah, no,
So
we don't. But I want to thank you guys for joining us on this beautiful day at Trader Sam's at the Disneyland Hotel,
Yep.
inside the Disneyland Resort. Again, got my boy OG, my girl Abbie. Always a good time. Thank you both for joining me. And as I always say in Disney Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Disney. Italiano out.